Welcome back to Agentic AI. Today we are diving into something that feels like a real inflection point.
It absolutely is.
The AI race between Google and OpenAI, it's moved way past just comparing models. This is now a full-blown ecosystem fight.
It's a system-level confrontation. And the reporting we're seeing suggests the temperature just went critical. Sam Altman has apparently declared a code red inside OpenAI.
A code red. I mean, that's a term you don't throw around lightly. That's for when you see a genuine, an existential threat.
Exactly. And it's all in response to the momentum Google is building with Gemini.
So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack what this huge shift means for you, for the decision makers, for the builders who have to figure out where to place your bets for the next, decade of work.
And it really flips the script. Just a couple of years ago, Google was the one scrambling to react to ChatGPT. Now with Gemini 3, they are clearly on the offense. It's become an ecosystem race, and Google is using its distribution as a weapon.
Okay, let's get into those power dynamics, starting with the tech. Google seems to be claiming a technical lead here, and it feels like it's all about their unified architecture.
It is. They've rolled out Gemini 1.5, then 2.0, now 3, all on one coherent foundation. It's not a collection of different experiments. It's one system.
And a huge piece of that is its native multimodality. We hear that buzzword a lot, but what does it actually mean here?
Well, for Gemini, it means the model was built from the ground up to handle text, images, video, and code all at once, cohesively. You're not, piping data between different specialist models.
So less duct tape. If I'm building something that needs to, say, analyze a video and check it against code, it's all one system.
Precisely. And that lack of complexity is a massive, massive selling point. And we're seeing it pay off. Gemini 3 is reportedly leading on some of the absolute hardest reasoning and math benchmarks out there.
And those benchmarks, even if they aren't the whole story, they drive headlines, they shift market sentiment.
They do. And that technical surge is what seems to have directly triggered this code red at OpenAI. It's a huge public acknowledgement that the game has changed.
So let's dig into that. What does a code red actually mean for OpenAI day to day?
It means a radical refocusing of resources. We're seeing evidence that they're pulling people and money away from, let's call them side projects or longer-term ad revenue ideas.
So stop chasing shiny objects. Focus on the core product.
That's the mandate. All hands on deck for core ChatGPT improvements and the GPT-5 line. Better reasoning, fewer mistakes, faster responses.
Right.
Now, to be clear, OpenAI is still incredibly strong. GPT 5.1 still leads in a lot of day-to-day conversational stuff, and it's deeply embedded in developer workflows. But the internal message is clear. Close any perceived gap. Now,
hold on. We heard that GPT-4 was supposed to address a lot of these issues, like hallucinations. What makes us think they can solve these fundamental problems now under this kind of pressure?
that really is the million-dollar question. The pressure is immense, both from Google and from the internal complexity of scaling safely. The feeling is they can close the gap. But what's shocking everyone is the sheer speed of Google's iteration.
It feels like Google's unified architecture is just faster to tune and deploy.
It seems that way. So the urgency for OpenAI is to prove GPT-5 isn't just a small step up, but a massive leap in reliability that restores that enterprise confidence.
Which brings us to the next battlefield, distribution. If model performance is becoming a slugfest, the long game is about reach. How do these things get to billions of users?
And this is where Google has a colossal advantage. Their strategy is this vertically integrated stack. Gemini is being woven in everywhere.
Not just selling an API.
No, they're selling an invisible system-level intelligence.
So give us some examples. Where does Gemini live?
Okay, start at the top, search. It's powering AI overviews, then workspace, Gmail, Docs, slides. It's just there, summarizing, drafting, analyzing. If your company runs on Google, the AI is just a feature.
No integration project needed. And it also runs locally.
Exactly. Gemini Nano running on Android and Pixel devices. That's huge for speed and privacy. But for the enterprise builders listening, the key is Vertex AI.
Okay, let's define that. Why is Vertex AI more than just a place to call a model?
Think of it as the management layer, the control panel. It makes deploying and governing Gemini models simple for big companies. If you're already on Google Cloud, using Gemini is basically a checkbox away. It removes all the friction.
Right. Now let's contrast that deep integration with OpenAI's approach. You've called it the plug-and-play model.
Yeah, their strategy is to ship incredible models that are designed to plug into other people's platforms. Their main channels are ChatGPT Enterprise and, of course, the huge partnership with Microsoft.
Through Copilot and the Azure OpenAI service.
Right. So while Google owns the house, OpenAI wants to be the electricity powering every appliance in everyone else's house.
And for their agentic capabilities, getting AI to actually do things, they rely on something called the Model Context Protocol.
Yes, the MCP. It's the framework and the APIs that let ChatGPT act like an agent across different apps and tools. It's how it understands and interacts with the outside world. It's their answer to not owning the entire stack.
But here's the kicker. The new reports are saying Gemini 3 is performing really strongly as a coding and tool-using agent.
And that's a direct shot across the bow. That was supposed to be OpenAI's home turf. The question is shifting from which model writes a better email to which model can reliably run a complex business process across my software.
So for a CIO listening right now, what's the takeaway? Do they bet on Google's world, the Microsoft OpenAI world, or something else?
Well, the good news and the current reality is that almost no one is going all in on just one.
Lesson learned from the cloud wars, I suppose. So how are they segmenting this? What workloads go where?
It's getting really strategic. We're seeing Gemini through Vertex AI being used for those long context tasks, analyzing a massive legal document or anything that's super integrated with Workspace.
Okay, and GPT-5.x.
That's still the go-to for many conversational agents, coding copilots, and more creative tasks, often wrapped inside Microsoft products. But then you also have companies testing Anthropic for safety-critical things or open source models for cost-sensitive workloads.
And you mentioned cost. The sources say Google is winning adoption not just on integration, but on competitive pricing with things like flash tiers and their TPUs.
Absolutely. Their custom TPU chips give them a raw cost per compute advantage. And these flash tiers are basically cheaper, faster versions of the model for high volume, simple tasks. If you're running a customer support bot, that can slash your costs.
That's a huge lever. But the challenges for OpenAI aren't just coming from Gemini, right? There were other issues brewing.
Yes, this code red is happening on top of other problems. There was the perception issue after the GPT-5 launch.
I remember that, users saying it felt less sharp.
Exactly. And often it wasn't the core model, but, UX problems or routing issues. That created an opening for Google to come in with these huge benchmark wins and grab the narrative.
And there have been questions about their shipping speed, too.
Definitely. Delays tied to safety reviews, while important, have sometimes slowed them down compared to Google's pace. Add in the pricing pressure from Anthropic and Meta, and you see the code red is about so much more than just Gemini.
It sounds like a fundamental business model tension. They have these insane compute bills, but they have to keep the product affordable and stable enough to win the enterprise.
It's the tightrope the entire industry is walking. Refocusing purely on the product is a signal they know they can't afford to let their performance edge slip. Not for a second.
So where does this all go? Let's talk future paths. Analysts are floating a few possibilities.
Right. Path one is pretty straightforward. Google dominance. They just keep this momentum going. Gemini becomes the default AI for billions of people just by being baked into everything they already use.
Adoption by inertia.
Exactly. Path two is the OpenAI comeback. The code red works. They ship faster, smarter upgrades, and they remain the premium, go-to brand for the most complex tasks.
And path 3.
Path 3 is the one most people are betting on. The multiplayer world. Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, open source. They all find their niche. Maybe one wins on cost, another on safety, another on general purpose tasks. No single winner takes all.
Okay, so if we assume that multiplayer world is the most likely future, what's the ultimate implication for your AI strategy?
The implication is profound. The real winners won't be the model makers. The winners will be the orchestration layers, the agent platforms that can intelligently route tasks across all of these different models.
So the models themselves become infrastructure, like a utility.
They become a commodity you plug into. But orchestrating that is hard. You're managing different APIs, different security protocols, different latencies. The platforms that solve that complexity are going to be incredibly valuable.
That is a critical insight. So for the leaders listening, what are the immediate actions they should take to prepare for this reality?
Okay, 3 things. 1, design your AI strategy right now, assuming a multi-model future. Don't get locked in. 2, separate your thinking about model performance, the benchmarks from platform lock-in, how tied you are to Azure or Google Cloud. And 3, Push your vendors on safety, governance, and cost, not just raw power. Those are the new differentiators.
So the real power isn't about which API key you have, but how you design the workflows and agents on top of them.
That's it. Turning all this raw intelligence into real-world impact reliably and at scale. That's the whole game. This race just proves the future is distributed. Agility is everything.
It certainly is. So if the most likely future is treating these incredibly powerful models like simple infrastructure, here's our final thought for you to chew on. How quickly can your current strategy pivot to route tasks across different vendors, optimizing for cost versus performance on a task-by-task basis? Because that flexibility, that's where the real leverage is going to be.
The ability to orchestrate is the new competitive advantage. Thanks for joining us on Agentic AI.